Okay, so I've got the sealer now mostly configured. I'll go through what's behind it after I show you just a basic example of it working. I got 340 grams, 12 ounces in a bag. You want to smack it down real good because it's a pretty full bag, and you don't want your beans tumbling out over the heat sealer as you're trying to get it in place. You need to put it over this nozzle. This is where the where the nitrogen comes out, and then the vacuum pressure goes in. So this thing only has one nozzle, so you cannot do 2 bags simultaneously, but it's still pretty quick, you'll see. So a better situation than the old chamber vacuum sealer. Anyway, put this thing over the nozzle. Avoid your beans tumbling onto the sealer because that will not work then. And you want to get it kind of even with, ideally, the back edge of the orange bar of the sealer. And then just kind of hold it there. And you don't have to press this button for the whole process. Just press it for a couple seconds so the process officially starts. I'm going to push this button with my foot in 3, 2, 1, go. It's sealing. Now it's cooling. And done. I'll leave this bag I just did sat here. It's obviously quite a bit faster than this, which takes like 10 seconds. This whole process takes about 4 to 5. And it's very clean and consistent so far. And you can see that it's sealed. It's good. So what's behind that configuration? Well, we've got a gas line and we got a air vacuum line. The air vacuum line goes to this compressor, which is set to actually pretty low right now. Should be about 105. It's a bigger range than that in the manual, but 105 is our target. The nitrogen tank is set to 60 psi right now, which again is toward the lower end of the range they suggested. Be careful with these lines because there's no this is the only off switch. Other than that, there's a quick disconnect here, and on the other end similarly there's a quick disconnect, and you don't want to disconnect that when there is an open valve here because you're going to evacuate your nitrogen tank real quick. I don't know how fast, but probably faster than you want to. It's expensive, and you don't want to fill a enclosed area with nitrogen because that's a good way to kill yourself. So don't disconnect those. If it gets disconnected, close the valve quickly. Same thing with the oxygen compressor here. Not as much of a safety hazard, but it's just connected. It's just a quick disconnect on both ends. If you were to push this orange thing down and yank the air hose quickly, you would evacuate the whole tank because there's no other switch in the way. So don't do that. Alright, so that's the settings on the tank and the compressor. The manual actually recommends a much larger compressor, like 15 gallons, but so far this has been behaving pretty well, and I've done about 15 bags in a row testing this thing, and the results have been consistent. I've only heard the compressor running a handful of times, every 2 or 3 runs. But even if the compressor runs, it doesn't mean the output regulated pressure is below where it should be. It just means the source tank is a bit lower. It can still maintain regulation even if the source tank's lower. Anyway, so the first part of configuring this side of it was heat and cool. So what the manual recommends is you double this up. So fold it in half. So there's 4 layers that you're sealing, because that represents the worst case, like if there's a wrinkle, because that would be 4 layers if you wrinkle it. So if you fold this in half, I tuned this so that it was safely enough heat to consistently seal 4 layers, but not more than necessary heat, because that's a waste of time, energy. And then pretty much standard, they said set the cooler to 50% higher than the heater. And this is just a timer. You can't control the level of heat. You can only control the amount of time it applies heat. So we're applying heat for 3 seconds, and then it's cooling for 4.5. Now, once that's set up, on this side what you've got is the gas and the vacuum. So the vacuum is the first thing I configured. You only have to run the vacuum for 1 second. That's plenty. It sucks it out real fast. Gas then is a little harder to determine what the correct setting is for gas, because without the right, without more complex tools, you can't tell if you're displacing all the oxygen in the bag with nitrogen before you vacuum it, because that's the whole goal, is push nitrogen in so that all the oxygen gets pushed out naturally by the nitrogen going in, and then you vacuum out the nitrogen as well, so the bag's left literally a vacuum of nothing, if anything, some nitrogen. It's hard to tell without equipment how much gas is enough. Vacuum's easy because you can see that things sucked solid. But gas, I went low. If anything, this is way better than what we were doing before because it's applying a more consistent, faster, hotter seal, and it's giving some nitrogen flush. So I went on the lower end of what they recommend for the nitrogen pressure as well as the amount of time it's applying nitrogen. I'm just applying it same as the vacuum, and yeah, I mean, you'd have to have equipment, or you'd have to do like some shelf life testing. How long does this thing taste stale if I do 1 versus 2 versus 3 seconds of nitrogen? Again, you don't want to do more nitrogen than necessary because you're putting a poisonous gas into your enclosed work environment. So keep it on a low end, and we'll see how long a tank lasts. You might want to try to keep track of how many bags you do on this tank. I've done about 4 or 5 so far with nitrogen. So maybe just keep a little notebook that says, I've done 100 bags on this tank. That might be good to be aware of for cost. Anyway, that's it. Last thing is, if you were to pull the tab here and open this thing, you would hear an air poof, because it is pressure closed. If you pull this, it should make a pff, like it's releasing a bunch of air. Anyway, turn it off when you're done so that it won't, so that nobody can accidentally push that foot switch. And of course, I'm going to clean up this tubing better. Turn that off and turn the gas off. So the green switch is off, the gas is off, and we're safe to walk away from this thing.